welcome to a very special edition of Dungeon Masters Guild Design Dash, Gen Con Online. If you have never watched a Design Dash before, you are in for a treat. It is a bit like Iron Chef or Next in Fashion or, oh gosh, your game show where people make things of choice, but combined with Dungeons and Dragons, these lovely contestants / poor souls are about to have 15 minutes to design a D&D encounter. But let's get into some introductions. My name is Lysa Penrose. I am the brand manager for Dungeon Masters Guild, which is a platform where you can license 5th edition D&D and publish your own adventures, supplements, player options, anything you can dream up. And I'm joined today by my lovely superhero last-minute substitute co-host, Hannah Rose, one of the Guild Adepts. Hannah, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Hannah Rose. You can find me on the internets at Wild Rose Mage. I do D&D writing, editing, game design, and yes, I am one of the DMsGuild adepts.
Yes, editor to the stars. Let's meet our 3 contestants, starting with Keith Baker.
Howdy, I'm Keith Baker. I've been designing games for way too long. I'm currently making games with my company Together Studios, that's TWO Together, including we have the Adventure Zone game coming out later.
So excited for that.
And I'm also known for having created the world of Eberron, and I have my new book, Exploring Eberron.
Oh, it's so gorgeous.
On the DMsGuild, and so that's been consuming my life, but now it's out there and I'm excited.
Awesome. So Keith, folks are a lot of folks watching are very familiar with your work. What would you say of your design style they can expect to see in the Dash arena today?
Well, it's hard to say. We'll see what happens. I will say that part of what I really like as a designer is trying to engage the players in creating the scene or the story and really making it sort of unique to whatever group is there. And so that's certainly always something I'm going to be trying to find ways to slip in.
Great. Awesome. I look forward to that. Next up, we have the lovely Kat Kruger.
Hello. I'm Kat Kruger. I'm the Dungeon Master at D20 Dames. It's an all-femme, predominantly POC actual play storytelling podcast. It's currently powered by Dungeons and Dragons. It's also family-friendly. Other than that, I'm a game designer and freelance writer and editor at my own company called Steampunk Unicorn Studio. And that's where I work for various clients in entertainment and media.
All right, Kat. So you are at your computer. You get the fated Twitter DM asking you to be on Design Dash. What did you do to prepare for your time in the arena, if anything?
Well, I'm also a mom to a 19-month-old toddler, so I prepared by getting a good night's sleep.
You know what? With a 19-month toddler, that is a huge feat.
Yes.
Thank you for making time for Dash amidst all of that. And last but certainly not least, we have James Hake.
Oh, good to be here.
James, introduce yourself.
I'm James Hake. I'm the lead writer for D&D Beyond. I'm very excited to be doing an encounter here on Design Dash because I do encounters every week on D&D Beyond. Not on quite as tight a deadline as I will be doing today, but on a tight deadline nonetheless. Yeah. And I'm also a member of the DMsGuild Adepts, and I've done some work for Wizards of the Coast on books like Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Explorer's Guide to Wildmount.
Yeah, so James, in addition to, goodness, all those other things you've listed that you've done, you've also helped co-host Design Dash in the past. So I'm wondering,
Yes,
what from that experience have you taken that you can share as advice for Keith and Kat?
Oh my gosh. Well, the biggest piece of advice that I can give is learn how to read the judges' minds, because we don't get to see the rubric that we'll be judged by until after we have gone off headphones. So if you can flex your psionic powers before this match begins, I think we'll be much better off.
Yes, and you have approximately 1 minute and 22 seconds to learn how to do that. And thank you for mentioning the rubric, James. I still have that sort of like co-host transitioning to different sections of the show mindset. But chat, before we reveal the secret theme, you play a very important role in Design Dash. In those 15 minutes when Keith, Kat, and James are designing, you will help us put together a rubric that is based on the secret theme we're about to reveal. So we will collaborate on picking 3 categories, sort of like superlative categories, that we can rate the different encounters on. And we'll figure out a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 to 5 stars, boring. It's been done. Last episode of Design Dash, it was it was Hero Academy themed. So we graded on like a letter, like grade report card scale, which please chat, don't make me do that again. It's really hard. There's so much emotion tied to those different letter grades. So let's pick something fun and silly, 1 to 5. We will grade on the rubric, and after those 15 minutes, folks will share their designs with us. I can't wait to see what everyone comes up with. So that leads us to the most important reveal of the show. Is everyone ready to learn the secret theme? I'm also seeing in chat that I'm a little bit quiet, so I'm going to bring up my mic a little bit. Let me know if that's any better, folks. The secret theme, which I want to make sure everybody hears, is what happens at the convention stays at the convention. Everyone's missing con season a little bit, especially during this Gen Con online. So what happens at the convention stays at the convention. 15 minutes to write an encounter. I have on my clock that it is 1:07, so we're going to give an extra minute and give you till 1:23 until we call time. Feel free to take your headphones out if Hannah and my chatting distracts you. Go forth and dash. All right, I see some earbuds being pulled out, headphones being pulled off of ears. So, Hannah, what are your first thoughts on the secret theme? Do you have any idea of what you would do? I mean, you've competed on Design Dash before.
I mean, my first thought is to have a convention in-game. Have some sort of Artisans Guild convention or Adventurers convention where everybody like swaps stories and does panels on their dungeon delving experiences and the best treasure they've ever found and stuff like that.
That is super fun. I like the idea of there being like a convention for minions, and there's different booths for different big bad evil guys. So the minions can kind of select which boss monsters they want to join.
Good. I think that's good. It's like a job fair. Minions deserve good healthcare and benefits. It's a dangerous job.
Of anybody, I think minions deserve those things. I see that chat is already flying with amazing rubric suggestions. I love all these. Yeah, I think we've got a bunch of rubric suggestions for, it seems like the scales for the rubric. So we've got 1 to 5 extra lanyards. Hilarious. I always end up with so many lanyards in my goodie bag. 1 to 5 panels, ribbons collected. 1 to 20 extra flyers you don't remember picking up.
So Lisa, in addition to the scale, we also have some certain items on the rubric that we judge the dashers by.
Yes. Let's see. Oh, what folks are already saying that they did that in the Minions movie. Did they really? I guess I don't think I watched that, but maybe I subconsciously stole it from pop culture. But yeah, so we've got the rubric and then we've got categories. So DC suggests minutes wandering lost, convention exclusives. Justice suggests number of convention exclusives. People have a lot of suggestions for the rubric scale this time. 1 to 5 copies used delivered to people tabling.
Categories.
Spontaneous sale purchases. Ooh. Jen says, talk about your favorite convention memories. Most ridiculous gaming themed item. Okay, what's jumping out at you from chat that would work for some of these superlative categories?
I do love minutes wandering lost, or maybe like opportunity to get lost.
Opportunities to get lost.
Or most.
That seems like a weird insult.
Okay, most interesting convention layout.
Okay, I love that. Most interesting.
Yeah, most interesting. Or Willy Boo says exhausting.
Convention layout.
What
Ooh,
else?
Zenith says exotic booths. Amount of
I feel like that could
convention
also
swag
go in with
obtained.
convention exclusives.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
things you're not going to find elsewhere.
Yeah. Convention exclusives. I like that. Find
And-
rubric finding the secret bathroom.
Oh, and water fountains, man.
Yeah.
Oh, longest queue. I like that. The astronomancer.
Longest queue. I'm taking notes because Design Dash is the most serious show I do. Notes must be taken. Longest. Number of safety rules.
Yes, and I
safety
think longest
hazards.
is either by people or by how long you have to, how early you have to line up to get in the room.
1 to 5 food truck wait time. How I'm kind of thinking, let's take a little peek at some folks' designs. And that'll also give me a chance to make sure on the overlay I have everything set up nicely so we can read what folks are doing. So let's look at like the first page. And I'm looking at Keith's design right now, where he's written the theme, what happens at the convention stays at the convention. Oh, and wow, Keith has dived right into writing. It's really, one of my favorite things about Design Dash is seeing all of the different designers' like thought process boiled down into, oh my God, I had to do this in 15 minutes. And some folks still take the time to outline all of their ideas. Some folks dive right into writing pages of story. I love that this con already has a name. And
then it's at Eberron.
Yeah, and this is the 32nd. I'm assuming it's the 32nd because it's Adventure Con 32. Set in Eberron, of course. Oh, looks like there's lots of different guilds.
Or adventures to find patrons. I like that.
Ooh.
And of course, yes, mingle with friends. My favorite part of any convention.
Yeah. So that is, I'm excited to see where he goes with, I hope that he details some of the booths with patrons and how you interact there. I think that would be very fun. The Willy Boo says, whoa, so there have been 31 Adventure Cons in Eberron so far. I'm going to jump over to Kat's design. And she has started with sort of your typical adventure or module outline where you start with like adventure hooks and or a background in an introductory section. This one's also called Adventure Con. This is the Battle of the Adventure Cons. Emerald Forest Adventure Con. They gather for workshops, celebrity signings, and shop the merchant hall.
Convention exclusives goes missing.
Uh-oh. Ooh. So there's already adventure or convention exclusives. So that's one of the items on our list for the rubric.
And I like that there's a really strong hook. I mean, this is a good adventure story. There's a strong hook. This important thing goes missing. And there's time pressure that they want to solve the problem before everyone freaks out.
Yeah, really solid. The Jenya of the D20 Dames in chat, Jen says, all the D20 Dames live shows take place at a convention. Oh, so Kat's got a little bit of a leg up there. Let's jump over to James's design. And James has started by brainstorming just a heckin' bunch of ideas. Concrete is too topical. You know what? Too real. This is about escape. Escaping from our conless con season.
Yeah, I happen to know that James does do a pretty detailed outline for a lot of his D&D Beyond articles. So he will work really hard on the outline and I'll be like, how's the article going? He'll be like, well, I haven't started yet, but I have the outline.
Yeah.
And then he just smashes it all out.
Actually, I'm just distracted because Doug in Texas said, fight off con crud. I'd enjoy seeing that stat block. That's really interesting to think of it not as a disease, but like a physical creature. That would be fun at maybe a time when it's not too topical. But I also like in this list of convention ideas, that I can almost sort of see James's thought process, especially in that 5th bullet point. Talking networking at the bar. I don't love bar culture, but also who likes to drink in D&D? Dwarves, gnomes, inventors, game designers, gnomes, and kobold rivalry, 3 factions. I love that stream of consciousness there. We got a little peek into his brain.
I want to see the next line. Lisa, the fact that you won't scroll down is a little teaser of everybody's encounter.
Yeah, well, I don't want to go through too much, although I love looking at the first page. Sometimes folks even go back and change things after we've taken a peek at them. Justice says, yeah, bar culture is hard for me, so I usually try to steer towards coffee. Yeah, I love those morning ease into the con coffee dates. Oh gosh, this is just making me miss conventions. What did I do? I did this to myself.
I'm thinking about that morning. So I don't think that having a coffee date in the morning is easing into the con, because I like to sleep in as long as possible to get as much sleep as I can to stave off the con crud. But I did really enjoy the coffee meetup at PAX Unplugged last year, the DMsGuild Creators Meetup.
I was just thinking about that too. Last year's PAX Unplugged is probably the last really big convention I was able to go to before everything in the world. And we had, at the time I was kicking myself because I was like, I wanted to do something before the convention started because a lot of my coworkers had like meetings and different booths they had to get to during the convention. So it was before the convention opened up for the day. So it was really, really early. I'm walking through Philadelphia. It's really cold in those wind tunnels. And I was like, no one is going to show up for this Dungeon Masters Guild coffee meetup. It was our first one. So many people got out of bed early, and it was amazing seeing all the Dungeon Masters Guild community creators who attended there and seeing them in person, getting to shake hands, give hugs, and it was just awesome. Willie Boo, who's in chat, even brought like little 1-page printouts of a title that he was working on, which was fun, so everyone got like a little game design giveaway too.
Ooh, con-related levels of exhaustion.
Ooh,
I do like that. I get a little bonus for that.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, you do start having disadvantage on ability checks.
Oh, wow. Let's see. All right. So I've written down a few things that we called out in chat. I'd love to boil it down to 3. And also let me know if I didn't include any that you really liked, Hannah.
Okay.
So we've got most interesting con layout. We've got number of convention exclusives. We've got longest line. And I put in like most exhausting convention to kind of broaden that category a little bit.
I feel like most exhausting could fall into like we could have interesting or exhausting layout and longest or most exhausting line.
Mm-hmm.
But we could certainly separate it out. There was one other thing I really liked. Let's see. I'm scrolling back up. Yeah, we've combined a lot of these into them. Do we say like maybe coolest convention swag?
Ooh, yeah, swag's a big part.
Yeah, coolest convention swag or what do I call it? Booths, things that you buy.
Merch?
Yes, that one.
Yeah. Okay, coolest swag or merch. Such a big part of conventions. Can't believe we forgot that. Arapono in chat says category so ridiculous it might just work.
Oh, that could apply to every design dash, but I like it.
Okay, so I love coolest swag slash merch. I'm going to circle that as a category we definitely use. Did you want to do the most interesting slash exhausting convention layout or broaden that into just convention in general?
We could do most exhausting. I think layout would be awesome, but I would love to see people draw maps, and obviously there is not time for that.
Okay. Sorry, most exhausting convention. Yes. I feel like you should get double points if you actually use the exhaustion mechanic.
Yes, I like that.
Double points.
Or if you invent your own kind of con-specific levels of exhaustion.
All right. other things we had here were convention exclusives and longest line, but Grinning Greg in chat just said a really great one, I think. Category, best reason to stay at the convention. For example, are you
yes.
trapped there? Which in an encounter
Actually,
you
the
could
theme.
be.
Yeah, actually being on theme.
Yeah. Best reason to stay at convention. All right.
And then what's our rubric going to be? 1 to 5?
Oh, yes. People had so many great ones. The one that's really jumping out in my head was the 1 to 5 extra lanyards.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we're going to be grading on a scale of lanyards, everybody. 1 to 5 extra lanyards. Ooh, Jen with the clutch comic suggestion. Check out the comic The Long Con. It's about being trapped in a convention. All right, so our rubric is going to be 1 to 5 extra lanyards, and we're grading on, actually all of these are sort of superlatives. So most exhausting convention, bonus points if there's some sort of actual exhaustion mechanic, coolest swag or merch, and best reason to stay at the convention.
Excellent. Or best reason, like, it stays at the convention, whatever it is.
Yeah, best reason it.
Looking at my clock, they have 2 minutes.
They do have 2 minutes. These 15 minutes truly fly by. Is there an encounter? I know it's hard to pick favorites just on the first page. Is there an encounter that you are most looking forward to hearing more of? Or what are you most looking forward to hearing more of for each one?
I'm really excited about Cats. I feel like since she put the adventure hook right away, I have the best idea of what it's going to be. But so since I have the best idea of what that's about, I'm really excited to dive in and find out, okay, what are those convention exclusives? Who took them? What do the characters have to do to go find them and recover them?
Yeah, I agree. Putting the hook at the very beginning, if we're going just based off of one page, gives us the most to work with.
I'm also a fan of Emerald Forest Adventure Con, which is a nice little nod to our local convention in Seattle, Emerald City Comic Con.
Which seems very deliberate. That's my guess. Dragonblood 472 says, fairly sure with all of the pins on my previous Gen Con lanyard, it counts as a lethal weapon. You know what? Honestly, yes.
It's bludgeoning damage, but you could take one of the pins off and use it to do piercing damage.
Piercing damage, yeah. All right, so I've called time because it's 1:23 on my clock here. And I'm trying to tell if folks are still designing. Just in case, I'm going to highlight Cats. We're going to make it red.
I'll mute my mic and yell at Joey.
Thanks. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
How are you all feeling after that? Is your adrenaline rushing? Was it what you expected?
It was certainly pretty intense. I have to say, I actually ended about a minute early just because I reached a sort of ending point and was like, well, okay, I'd rather stop here than keep going and be caught in the middle of a thought.
Ooh, well, congratulations on feeling like you could actually conclude your encounter.
Oh my gosh.
Spend another hour for sure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I did not finish.
All right. Well, I'm really excited to see what of Emerald Forest Adventure Con you were able to get to. James, was it really different being on the contestant side?
It's simultaneously frantic and zen, because if you're not zen, you're just in chaos.
Yeah, you get into that writing zone really fast.
Yeah, you need to get in deep quick.
Oh my goodness. Oh, the Willy Boo says, congratulations on becoming Dashers in the chat. Welcome to the Dash Club. All right, so
welcome to DashCon.
Chat, Hannah, and I put together a rubric for the three of you, so I'll let you know what that is. The categories are most exhausting convention, bonus points if anyone includes actual mechanics for exhaustion, coolest swag or merch, very important part of a convention, And best reason it stays at the convention. So it could be that you're like trapped at the convention. It could just be the coolest con ever.
Yeah, that's
We
a
will
good one.
find out. And you will be graded on a scale of 1 to 5 extra lanyards.
Now I'm sad. I would love to do the trapped in limbo, like limbo convention that you can't get out of.
That's a great one. But tell us, Keith, about AdventureCon 32. Walk us through your encounter.
See, I just have to say before I jump in that now I love the idea of a demi-plane that is a convention everyone is trapped in.
I feel like that could be, depending on the convention, that could even be a Ravenloft plane. Like everyone is constantly at a con. I feel
and you're all exhausted.
What con takes place in the Hotel California?
That'll be the 1 hour version. So I just dove straight into it, so I'm just gonna quickly read through what I said. The scene begins at the first day of AdventureCon 32, the annual gathering of all the adventurers guilds of Corvair. From the Clifftop and Deathscape guilds of Sharn to the more casual Bori Tiger Guild of Rowett and the official sponsors House Deneath, it's a swarm of people and celebrations. AdventureCon is a vital opportunity for adventurers to find patrons, gain contacts, and mingle with friends, as well as to browse the exhibitors hall for the latest in adventuring gear. The first step is to take a moment to ask each character what they are most looking forward to at AdventureCon. Is there a panel they want to attend? A particular famous adventurer they're hoping to meet? King Borinel himself will be signing autographs later today, and people have been online for days for that. This can provide some useful material for players to work with. So basically, I just want to know, what do you think is going on at a fantasy convention? And what excites you about having your character there? And I will play off that.
I like how you delivered on the promise of what you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I very much, the whole point to me is I don't want it to be too scripted. I want to know, like, what do the players see? And so then they feel like this is their movie. Anyhow, so I then said, so the next step is to pass the day, use a pair of D6 rolls to determine an initial encounter, working in the player's suggestions if they sort of fit that hook. And so then I just did a little D6 table with you meet a blank who blank. So you can say you meet an excited fan who picks a fight, or one of your idols who wants you on a panel. So my thought again is I just build something based off of that and see what people came up with. But I did note AdventureCon is also an excellent place for adventurers to purchase new gear. The exhibitors hall is filled with common and uncommon magic items, and the exhibitors might offer a discount for a sponsorship. This is your chance to see the latest good from House Canis, Onatar's Forge, and even new magical beasts from House Vidalis. But it's the exhibitors hall where things go horribly wrong, as Canis' new Warforged Titan ends up causing a panic with the Vidalis friendly Manticore, because they're making them friendly now. Will the characters get involved, possibly earning a discount at all Canis enclaves, or will they choose to play it safe and head for the How to Clean Your Armor When You're on a Polish panel? Beyond this is an excellent opportunity to introduce a new patron for the group or foreshadow a new villain. The Blackguard giving the positive uses of demonic possession talk might show up again in the future.
Oh, I love the ideas of how to insert this into an ongoing campaign and use it to sort of tease things yet to come, especially if you catch players off guard for that. Like, you don't tell them you're teasing things and then it shows up and they're like, oh my god, at the convention, it's that guy.
So I will say this isn't the tightest of encounters. It's more of a sort of broad idea for an interlude that I'd have fun sort of talking through with the players and such. But that's what I came up with.
So I guess if you had, say, another 45 minutes, so you had a full hour, are there things that you would change? Are there certain parts you would expand on?
Well, first off, I have to say, if I had 45 minutes now, I would totally go with the Limbo Demi-Plane convention. That you're trapped at the convention, and the whole question is, how can you get out? So I would totally use that. But assuming that I stuck with this idea, I would definitely go deeper on the tables, because I would love to have a table for panels. You know, that here's a bunch of panel ideas, and I would definitely want to actually list a bunch of these are cool things you can find at the exhibitors hall. Oh, House Drasco is showing the new Code Red healing potion, and you know, like showing off like what are the sort of branding opportunities for people whose industry is pitching to adventurers. And to me, this is something I threw into Eberron from the things, and I'd want to play to that idea that Eberron is a more like industrialized society, and so since you have adventurers guilds, like what is the market of people trying to deal with them? So those are things I would definitely highlight more. And I also probably would actually highlight one or two specific villains. Let me tell you about that Blackguard. And that even if you didn't use them all, here are 3 more detailed people players could show up with. And me.
I have a question for Keith, which is, what would the mechanics be for becoming for like getting sponsorship for some merch? If House Cannith says, okay, we want you to showcase our new armor line, what would the mechanics be for that?
I would definitely do it as, it'd be a sort of weird twist on group patron, and I would totally say that they'll give you whatever this item is. It might not be like a full magic item. It might be it's self-cleaning armor, or it's lighter than usual, or something. So you aren't just totally handing away a magic item. You come in magic item level stuff. It's our new armor of many fashions, but it's totally going to have a big Cannith Brain logo, and it's also going to be, they're going to put you on like posters or billboards. It's
so if you end up being wanted across the land, it's gonna be a downside.
And you definitely be coming into places and people say, whoa, are you Bromley? I hear that Cannith's armor is actually kind of trash. That's the thing, is the question is it any good, or is it actually kind of crappy armor?
But maybe you can make some money, a commission, if you sell it.
Oh, for sure. And they probably give you like a 10% off all other stuff. But you got to make it look good. And every time you're giving some kind of public thing, you only get the 10% if you actually name drop the armor.
Like,
at some point.
+2 adamantine armor in a dungeon or something, like, you can't put it on now. You've got your branding opportunity.
As a game master, that would be the tempting thing, is then to immediately give them some better armor. But you gotta wear that Cannith Aegis armor.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
you signed a contract. I feel like if you break that contract, like immediately, like a curse gets enacted.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
And I'm just saying, in Eberron, the lawyers are the people you really gotta watch. Anyhow,
I've got to say, what I really love about this encounter is, well, the tables specifically. I feel like they give lots of really good ideas that are like jumping points for the dungeon master's imagination of, based on how the players react to the challenge, really what you can do with all these tiny mini encounters. But I also just love that it's feels like this mini masterclass in how to design something that's more of a sandbox than an encounter on railroad tracks. So I really appreciated seeing this style of design. Hannah, do you have any other questions for Keith?
Oh, the sponsorship was my one big question, but I'll echo what Lysa said, that I know you foreshadowed this and said this is something you like to do, and it's always good to get suggestions to the players, but I know my groups would absolutely have a blast coming up with the panels and merchants they want to see.
I will say that this is one reason, just as a random thing, I don't actually write a lot of adventures. And it's because this is more how I tend to run adventures, is come up with a bunch of hooks and then let's see sort of where people go with it. And, again, not all DMs like that style. And
I feel like I've learned something for my own design and writing.
Big same. And I feel like this style seems particularly well suited for world building, so that makes sense.
They are.
Well, thank you very much, Keith, for sharing your encounter. Kat, we're going to move on to your show and tell.
Are we going to do all of them and then grade it?
Oh, yeah, good question. Actually, let's grade along the way, just to make sure we fully have everything completely fresh in our minds. Thank you for the reminder, Hannah. So on a scale of 1 to 5 extra lanyards, how exhausting would you say this convention experience is?
Oh.
There was that mention of like a days long line you have to wait in to get a signing.
Which definitely is points. And that's the one where you line up at 5 a.m. And I also feel like there's a lot going on. There's that whole table, there are panels, there's a choice between, do you like take this hook to maybe fight this creature, this not so friendly manticore, or do you go to the panels you want to go to? So I'd give it at least 4 out of 5 extra lanyards for exhausting.
Yeah, I was thinking 3 to 4 only because I also want to leave room for how exhausting Kat or James's
That is
conventions
true.
might be.
That is true.
So
I'm gonna call for 4. That line sounds exhausting.
okay, so I'm gonna stick with 3. So we'll give Keith 3.5 extra laniards.
Woo!
I can't I write these down and then I don't know.
I guess
why.
I gotta
It makes
leave
me
room
feel
for
good.
favoritism for James.
Not using exhaustion mechanics though. That was a good idea.
What about coolest swag or merch? I don't know if necessarily the adventurers would find it the coolest, but like the sponsored armor sounds like just really fun.
I'm not sure if that counts as coolest,
True.
but it's certainly interesting. There was some stuff in the table.
There were friendly manticores, which is I think pretty cool if they're actually friendly.
Shadowing the villain. I don't know. Maybe the villain's giving out some merch, but
I needed to have that swag table, and I didn't get it. Didn't get it in there.
yeah, I'm gonna give it 1 extra lanyard.
You're gonna give it 1 extra lanyard.
I think we're really strong on the panels,
Yeah.
but
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna give 1 extra lanyard for coolest swag and best reason to stay at the convention.
it seems like I get this feeling from this, especially since the players are buying in, that they might have their own schedule and really long list of things that they want to see and go to.
The offerings are really up to your imagination. So in terms of content available at the convention, this seems on point. Also, because it's for adventurers to find patrons and network and everything professionally, if you're an adventurer, this is like the event not to miss.
Oh God, it is a professional convention experience.
So I'm feeling like, again, like a 3.5 or a 4 extra lanyards from me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Maybe 3.5.
All right. So let's do the 3.5 extra lanyards. All right. Writing these down so that we can compare numbers at the end. Keep it super serious here at Design Dash. And now let's move along to Kat's encounter. I'm going to make it not red anymore, so it's less scary. And we're on the adventure hook.
Okay, so I guess people coming here to see me do this dash already know that I have invented an adventure con in the past. So basically all the D20 Dames live shows, or most of them, take place at Emerald Forest Adventure Con. It is a place where adventurers from around the realms gather for workshops, celebrity signings, shop at the merchant hall, and we've had things like actual dungeon, which is like true dungeon.
Actual dungeon.
We've had actual tavern. There's even a little demon daycare and things like that.
Oh, demon daycare!
So this is already like. I feel like this part I've already got an idea of what the convention is going in, but oh my goodness, 15 minutes is not a long time.
The Jenya has a really important question, and she is wondering if this is your group's adventure for the live show tomorrow, and she should tune out for a minute.
No. I knew that some people were going to be in there, so and also the theme is very different. So one of the what stays at the what happens at the con stays at the con. I was thinking usually I like to have like really cute NPCs in my one shots, and so one of the ongoing NPCs that we have is this Aarakocra who bungles a lot of the jobs that he works at the convention. And in this situation, I was thinking that at the merchant hall, there was a delivery of convention exclusive that goes missing, and he's the security guard who is supposed to be watching over it.
Oh.
And they went missing as he was trying to do his job, but he fell asleep because he has like 20 jobs.
Oh.
That sounds very exhausting.
Yeah. But so usually what I do with this type of adventure is I try to play off of pop culture, because I really think that's fun because it ties into like this modern idea of a convention in a fantasy setting. So I was trying to go with the whole memento thing, where the Aarakocra security guard is actually involved in the robbery, but doesn't realize it.
Oh.
So when the adventuring party is going through and helping this poor NPC out, they're trying to find these clues and investigate. And as we're going through, we've got like the scene of the crime, and there's coffee spills and a sign of what seems like a struggle, but in the end, it sort of turns out that it wasn't really a struggle. It was just him being sleepy and yeah. So then they follow these coffee stain trails into the merchant hall, where they meet up with another NPC who seems like it's more like a red herring, I guess, because it's this really buff Aarakocra who works as a barista and has a beef against our security guard. And that sort of red herring might lead the adventuring party to believe that he was involved in it somehow. And I didn't get to the ending, but essentially it's the memento idea where it all circles back. The adventuring party has an opportunity to either just help out the Aarakocra security guard, or reveal that it was his fault.
So let's see. So you got to the header, the beginning of the end, which seems appropriate. If you had, say, like another 15 minutes, what would we have seen from you?
Oh, I think there would have been more random encounters and more clues that could have led them in different directions, so that they could have experienced the convention floor a little bit more.
Police are coming for us.
As you're using a trademarked background.
So what of the what you've designed so far in this encounter would you say like actually reflects your typical design style and process, or was it just like all madness because
it's
of
pretty
Dash?
much all madness. I'm very much like a pantser sort of writer, because I come from a novel writing background. So I've written novels before writing adventures. So I like to like think for a long time before I actually start writing, which clearly
that's a challenge for Dash. Hannah, do you have any questions for Kat?
I am wondering, these items that were stolen, these convention exclusives, do you have any ideas for what they would be?
Yeah, that would have been one of the things that I would have, if I had the extra 10 or 15 minutes, I would have thought a little bit more clearly on. It could be like signed copies of books, or sometimes it'll be like signed copies of Involo's Wake, and signed by Volo, or and
Volo
other.
is definitely at the convention doing.
Oh, absolutely. But I think I think a few more minutes would have helped with that.
All right. So looking at our rubric, Hannah, grading on our scale of 1 to 5 extra lanyards, how would you grade this for most exhausting convention? I mean, James mentioned it, that this is very exhausting for this one Aarakocra.
Yeah, it sounds really exhausting for the people who are working at the convention.
It does. Poor things.
And the fact that there is a lot of coffee, and we're, following the coffee at the merchant hall, and there's probably a lot of people there. So I'd give that a 3.
Yeah. I would also, I think, give it a 3 exhausting. 3 extra lanyards for how exhausting It sounds 3 extra lanyards. What about coolest swag or merch? I like that it was explicitly mentioned that there are convention exclusives.
And I am counting the ideas mentioned afterwards of Vola's book signing.
So how many extra lanyards would you say?
3 or 4?
Yeah, I also am kind of in the same place where it's certainly a 3, I think, because they were explicitly mentioned that they were there. And then
they're part of the plot. I mean,
and they're part of the plot.
Sort of being stolen.
They were cool enough to be stolen. We know that. So I feel like that kind of bumps it up to a 4 for me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do 4 extra lanyards.
And again, I like the idea that the adventurers have to find them before everybody comes to buy them and freaks out.
And then best reason it stays at the convention.
I mean, definitely this is a secret, a thing that happened, and therefore needs to stay at the convention. And hopefully the exclusives haven't been taken off site, I suppose.
Yes, although maybe they have, and that's the twist. Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily feel like anything in particular needs to stay at the convention for this encounter. So I would give it, for me, 1 extra lanyard.
Okay.
All right, so we'll give 1 extra lanyard for it staying at the convention. All right. Kat, thank you so much for sharing that encounter with us. I forget if we mentioned it while you were headphones on, but we really, really loved that this one started with a really solid adventure hook. It kind of gave us we only looked at the first pages during design, and it kind of gave us a lot of ideas of what this was going to be. So thank you. All right, James, you ready to do a share?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's make it not red.
Yeah, let's get this blood red haze out of here.
So I see you had a whole brainstorming list on the first page.
Yes. Whenever I set out to write adventures or encounters that are for public consumption, that is not for my home group, I need to outline intensively. Because with my home group, I kind of know everything that's going on in the background. I know my setting, I know my characters. That is my outline. But when it's just for whoever might want to play it, I need something very, very strong and rigid here. So what are some ideas that could have started this? Con crud, yes, but too topical. Meeting friends at the food court, yes, but not enough conflict. Demoing games, the same. Getting lost in the city, that's good, but it doesn't stay at the convention. Networking at the con bar, however, I don't love bar networking culture, but also it happens all the time, and I've been involved in it deeply before. So this was the idea I went with. And so I started spiraling out from here. Who likes to drink in D&D? Well, dwarves, obviously. What other folks are like dwarves? Gnomes are kind of like dwarves. They're inventors. Game designers? Good. Gnomes and kobolds, they don't like each other. Okay, that's 3 factions. We've got some adventure interest here. Okay, let's go with this. Okay. So we've got Concastrophe 2020, in which a dwarf, a gnome, and a kobold walk into a convention bar. This scenario is, directly contrasted with the more sort of sandboxy, open-ended whole con experience that Keith has got going on. Is very much a zoom-in microcosm on one part of the con experience. So you are an adventuring party at QuestCon 2020, and I didn't write about the world building of this con too much, but I imagine this whole con is like a adventure region sized mega center that might sort of fly in and loom over a region, Noxramas style, for a little while. And people can come up, and there are parts of this gigantic convention hall that are monster infested and dungeon-esque. There are parts that have been reclaimed, like this particular con bar, that sort of thing. So adventurers come in here, they get the quests that they want to get from patrons, usually networking at the con bar, and then they can delve into the rest of the convention experience. So you are an adventuring party at QuestCon 2020. Obviously, you are freelancers. obviously you want to network with quest givers. And there are so many other adventurers here too, and they all want the same jobs that you are after. So this starts with a little bit of freeform character background motivation analysis. Start characters by thinking about who your player character is. Think about your class, your background, your backstory, those kind of things. What kind of quest would you want to go on? There are quests where you go out and slay a monster. There are quests where you could go out and get something and return it to someone, a fetch quest. There are quests where you do that, but in reverse, where you take something to somewhere else and get paid for it. Those are my sort of 3 platonic ideals of quests, and those are the ones that you'll be looking after in this adventure. But obviously, a DM can stretch things a little bit and improvise if there's another type of quest that your players are itching to go on. So once the characters know, you'll talk with your party, you'll talk amongst yourselves. What kind of quest, like we all have our own ideas. What do we want to actually do as a group? Because we're an adventuring party, not just a bunch of strangers. And once you've decided, or decide on the first one to go after, you'll talk with your DM, let them know what you're going for, and the DM will say, okay, excellent. Here, one or more of you should make a special charisma investigation check to gather information and search out rumors. This check is representing you asking throughout the bar for rumors about what kind of quest giver might be in the region that you're looking for. And once you know which one you're looking for, once a bar goer says, oh, well, you're looking for Master Adelburn, the dwarf, you'll go, okay, we know where to find him. We will search him out and go for him. And depending on how well you rolled that sort of that charisma investigation check, you'll have an easier or harder time of pushing your way through this crowded bar in order to find the guy you're looking for. Right? It's full of rowdy adventurers. Some of them might want to tussle. Some of them might be looking for the same guy you are, so you have to make charisma deception checks to avoid giving the game away.
Some of them might want to pitch their games to you and give you merch.
Oh no, and then you have to politely extricate yourself from the situation without making it too awkward and seeming like a jerk yourself. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And so there are 3 quest givers for the purpose of this encounter in this bar, and they all hate each other, and they all have mutually exclusive desires. There is a gnome who wants someone to defeat the clockwork dragon of Hall Gnome, Hall G for short, which is an invention gone wrong, so that the gnomes who created it can go back to their home convention hall and keep selling their fine gnome craft merch at their booths. There is a dwarf who wants someone to deliver a heap of gold bars smelted in Hall Dwarf, or Hall D for short, to the dragon-conquered Hall G halfway across the entire realm. Because you know how convention hall halls are just like all the way across from each other all the time. Yeah. And it must be protected from bandits and marauders as you make your way through QuestCon 2020, and the dragon has apparently promised them good money. And there is a kobold also who wants someone to rescue her kobold con group. They're all cosplayers from the Clockwork Dragon, who captured them so that they can be his fawning entertainment and also hit crew.
I have an important question.
Yes.
The kobold con group who are cosplayers,
Yes.
Are they all cosplaying one creature so you have 5 kobolds in a trench coat?
I'll leave that to the DM's prerogative. But this kobold does not want the dragon dead because she is a kobold and loves dragons. Just simply does not want to have her con group forced into this awkward situation. So here we have a situation where you certainly could simply talk to one quest giver if you're a party with remarkably agreeable players in them who all think that this one goal is the right goal to settle on. But more likely, I think that the entire party will want different things, and they may want to cheat the system and get up to triple rewards by solving all of their problems at once, killing the dragon, saving the kobolds, and taking the dragon's money and just giving that to the dwarf anyhow. And so they could try and wheedle information out of every single one, try and get the reward from everyone with charisma deception checks and so on and so forth, just to avoid having all these quest givers who, let me remind you, hate each other and have mutually exclusive quest goals, to avoid getting to this sort of servant of 2 masters scenario. Or some very charming characters could also try to negotiate out all 3 quest givers' seemingly mutually exclusive desires and make everyone happy. I don't know how they could do that, but that's the joy of D&D. It's not easy though, right? Because all of these quest givers, if any of them realize that the characters have talked to their rivals at the other side of the bar, they may get may get a bit testy, not want to talk to them anymore. Maybe you can bribe them with a nice cocktail from the bar or something like that. And then once this whole quest has been set up and gathered together, you make your way down into the monster-infested floors of QuestCon 2020, and you may have to face some creatures on the way there, but make sure they're actual monsters and not just con-goers in costume as well.
First of all, love that end detail. Don't defeat cosplayers.
I love the cosplayers. Fantastic. Fantastic addition.
But just in general, James, I can tell that you design encounters on the regular, because in such a short amount of time, you created such a compelling encounter with a lot of
three
depth.
encounters, kind of.
Yeah, you created 3 encounters that are all like related to each other. That was really cool to see. I also want to shout out a comment in chat that came up when you started. Aquibian says it's great to see the 3 different approaches our panelists have taken to writing the encounter, and a bunch of people agreed that like 3 very different approaches, creating 3 like really interesting encounters all on the same secret theme. So goodness, I guess I mentioned, I'm going to scroll back up to the top of your encounter and slowly scroll through for people while we chat. But I mentioned that I can tell that you must design encounters all the time. But how similar or different was this to your like usual process when you're making like a D&D Beyond encounter?
So this process is in its own way remarkably similar to what I do week to week, but just very fast. Very condensed, because this is the kind of outline that I want to have before I start putting meat on the bones for an encounter of the week sort of thing. I want to have all of the important moving parts. Who is wanting something, who is the goal, who or what is the goal, what sort of obstacles could interfere. And there's already kind of a 3-act structure built into this outline. There's the start in the bar, which admittedly is kind of the bulk of the thing, but it was the starting idea for it, so that's okay.
You meet in the tavern and you get a job. It's
exactly.
So. Yeah, that's so funny.
And then
I have to say, I love that you have to kind of, compete for the job, because often your adventuring party just gets the job and there's nobody else who will take the job.
Mm-hmm. It's a big freelancer mood is what it is. And then there's a middle portion, which is going down into the dungeon. And since so much of the time was spent in Act 1, we just have the barest of outlines here. And because of the time crunch, you find that Act 3 is fairly self-explanatory, right? You've kind of drawn it out fairly well at the beginning, what you want to do when you reach the dragon, such that all of that is fairly easy to fill in. Once I'm actually right down there writing, I know exactly what I want to do, even though I haven't explicitly outlined it. You meet the dragon, you talk to the dragon, you fight the dragon, you get the treasure. Nice. So yeah, if you spread those concentrated 15 minutes out over like an hour of working, writing a paragraph, checking Twitter, writing another paragraph, then you'd have kind of the start of a normal encounter for me.
Hannah, do you have any questions for James?
I have think about that. I might come up with one later, but I'm really enjoying this. I have a comment, which is that I love how Keith's encounter has a lot of ways to put it, or feels like you can really easily put it into an existing adventure, an existing campaign that you have with your players, whereas James' encounter is set up to be a one-shot very clearly. And I love that it has that introductory section of, okay, create your characters, work with your party. Who do you want to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take it to the rubric then. How exhausting on a scale of 1 to 5 extra lanyards would you say this is?
I mean, you've got this entire flying convention hall, and I love that we have Hall Dwarf and Hall Gnome and presumably Hall Kobold somewhere as well. And they're on the opposite sides of the con. So it is not favoritism for me to say this is 5 extra lanyards worth of exhausting. And the rowdy bar you have to push through.
I don't know. I compare it like it's So Keith kind of is interestingly graded, not being compared to anybody, whereas then James is on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I'm looking at the other two encounters, and there is sort of a large scope described, but I feel like it's very focused in one area. For the most part, at least the parts of the encounter that we did see, and whereas Keith's, I felt you really felt the scope of the con.
That's
because
true.
it was
That's
built
true.
to help the dungeon master figure out how to let people experience any part of the con that they want to. So for me,
I see the scope of the con, but it's a little more in the distance.
Yeah. So for me, I would say this is maybe like a 3.5 extra lanyards, kind of averaging 3 to 4, which gives me very annoying math that I now have to do.
We could say 4. We could say
Okay,
4.
We'll say 4 extra lanyards for exhaustingness. And then what about coolest swag or merch?
There isn't a lot of swag or merch.
Yeah, I don't think that was really referenced. So I'm just going to give that the minimum of 1 extra lanyard. And what about best reason it stays at the convention? There was the specific call out that the gnomes have to stay at the convention until this clockwork dragon is defeated.
That is true. And the cosplayers are stuck with this clockwork dragon. And everyone's staying up late at the bar. The rowdy adventurers there.
Yeah. So I feel like this is the most
I feel
explicit
like also,
where things have to stay at the convention.
I feel like also if you end up pissing off any of these groups and they don't want to talk to you anymore, that's definitely something that stays at the convention.
You do not bring that up ever. So I feel like this is while not everything has to stay at the convention, there were callouts to a bunch of things that are staying at the convention for very specific reasons. So for me, this is 4 extra lanyards easy.
Sure, I agree with that.
4 extra lanyards. I also I'm just feeling like if James gets 4 extra lanyards for the exhaustingness of his con, I kind of want to go back and raise the number of stars I gave to Keith, because I feel like it's the same or bigger scope, in my opinion. And I know I brought those stars down.
Yeah, you brought those stars down.
With my, like, tentativeness. So I'm actually going to bump that up a star to 4.5 extra lanyards. Sure. I think now that I've seen all 3. Yeah.
I would actually really love to see those combined with this con with Hall D and Hall G, but also with that random table of encounters.
Yeah, these encounters work together. I think all 3 of these encounters work together in a beautiful
just saying,
way.
if the 3 of you can make the time to put it up on DriveThru.
I was just going to say, I was just going to throw the other tables I talked about together and throw it up on my website or something. But if anybody wants to work on something, I would do something, because I think it would be fun.
This is how collaborations start.
Yes.
Yes.
Have a cocktail and we can talk about it.
Oh my gosh, the Willy Boo in chat says convention setting book. That's really funny. It could be that Limbo.
And there could be a series of adventures. Someone said earlier, like convention circuit series of adventures where you go to the different conventions. You could sprinkle them throughout your campaign. But then if your campaign is long, you come back to the same convention the next year.
I just have to say, what I love about your idea, James, was the idea that it is this big dungeon of which the convention is just this little part of. Because when Dungeon World first came out, I was super disappointed, because when I first heard the concept, I'm like, oh, it's a whole world that is a dungeon. Wow. And then I was like, oh, no, it's just there are dungeons. And I'm like, no. So I want Dungeon World.
Yeah. I do have that sort of campaign setting idea in a notebook buried away somewhere. That would be very fun.
We should all chat sometime.
Yeah.
I'm actually Concred too.
Oh yeah, I actually have I have one of my Emerald Forest Adventure Con adventures up, and I'm posting more soon.
Yes. I want to see it.
Yeah, if you're missing con season, get your adventurers into a convention. Live your bliss. All right, so I'm just going to echo again what chat has said, that they loved seeing all 3 approaches. All 3 encounters had like really interesting, very different flavors to them. And so that was a joy to watch. But we are going to go through and we'll go backward in the backwards direction and do outros. And everyone watching chat, get your personal little drum rolls ready on your their desks because we'll announce everyone's superlatives as we outro them. So starting with James. James, you won Best Reason It Stays at the Convention. So congratulations, James. Let us know who you were, where folks can find you if they want to learn more.
Yes, once again, I'm James Hake. I'm lead writer for D&D Beyond. You can see me make encounters just the smidgenest bit more polished than this every week on the site, more articles too. I'm one of the DMsGuild adepts. We recently came out with a book called Encounters in Theros for the latest D&D setting book, Mythic Odysseys of Theros. I think it's over 80 unique encounters, all sort of Greek mythology themed. Great for use in Theros, great for use in classical games, great for use in any D&D game. Highly recommended. And also, I do work for Wizards of the Coast on books like Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Explorer's Guide to Wildemount. Thank you so much for having me on, everyone. It was so much fun.
It was a blast. Thank you for joining us. Kat, congratulations on winning coolest swag / merch.
Yay.
Let us know where folks can find you.
You can find me at D20 Dames. We actually have a live show tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific. Again, it's family friendly. As with most of our live shows, it takes place at Emerald Forest Adventure Con. So if you want to see Eric, this is Eric Okra named Irk in action. You can see him tomorrow. I also have an anthology coming out on DMsGuild soon, August 15th. Eyes Unclouded anthology is a Ghibli-esque anthology coming out.
Looking forward to that so
Yeah,
much.
so
I can't wait for
cool.
that.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Thank you very much, Kat. Keith, congratulations. You wrote the most exhausting convention.
Woo!
And tell us, where can folks find you, and what have you recently published?
Well, I don't know that I've recently published anything. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing. So recently published Exploring Eberron, which is available now on the DMsGuild 240-page Eberron sourcebook. You can find me. I'm Hellcow Keith on Twitter. My website is keith-baker.com, and I write tons and tons of Eberron stuff and stuff there. And my company is Together Studios, TWO Gether. And you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, or just go to togetherstudios.com if you want to see all the stuff we've done.
Thank you, Keith, for joining us. It was great seeing you design on the dash. Hannah, my lovely co-host.
I am Hannah Rose. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WildRosemage. Let's see, I also wrote some encounters for Encounters in Theros, and I'm currently editing James Intricasso's My Dad's Monster Manual.
Another one I'm really excited
Yeah,
about.
there's some great ones. I've been laughing while editing, and also scared. So, yeah, he talked to his dad and showed his dad the D&D Monster Manual art, and his dad came up with story and ideas for what each monster is and does and how it was created, and then James wrote stats for that. So that will be in layout soon and out on the DMsGuild.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining me, especially last minute. Thank you. I am Lysa Penrose.
Thank you for asking me.
I'm Lysa Penrose. I'm the brand manager for Dungeon Masters Guild. If you enjoyed seeing these designs, they've inspired you, dungeonmastersguild.com, you can publish your own D&D adventures, encounters, supplements, what have you there. Also, if you're just looking for adventures, one-shots, goodness, D&D duets, if you're just playing with a really small group, just getting your roommate to play D&D with you, definitely check out dungeonmastersguild.com for yourself. You can find us on social medias. Twitter and Instagram is at DMs_guild. And then we also have a Facebook page and a Facebook group that is meant for creators. So just search Dungeon Masters Guild on Facebook. You can follow me personally at Lysa Penrose on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. And goodness, if you enjoyed Design Dash, we are the third Friday of every month on twitch.tv/D&D. So hope to see you in the arena next time. If you stick around for the outro, I think we're going to give our friends at Beetle and Grimm's a little raid as they do their Gen Con streams. But thank you again, everybody, for joining me. And goodness, stay safe out there. Bye, everybody.
Farewell.